Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. I've got some odds and ends to start with today. First of all, welcome, everybody. It's good to see you guys. I've got a nice little fat roundup of gossip and tea for today. But before I say anything about that, I wanted to start with a delicious news story that I saw earlier today on Twitter, and then a friend in chat also sent it to me. The president of South Africa is visiting the United States, and he was in the Oval Office, and Trump fired up a video of all those white crosses in South Africa, and each cross represents a white farmer that was killed, or a white person that was killed, or a white farmer, I guess. And then he played Ramaphosa a video of Julius Malema, the most dangerous man on the continent, screaming, "Kill the Boer." Hello, everybody. And Ramaphosa, who is one of the most shameless liars in any public office of any country, claimed that he had never seen any of this before. And Ramaphosa was so triggered by this display and by being publicly humiliated on the world stage with all the media people there filming this embarrassment, said, well, I guess something about some crack about, wait a minute, let me look it up. I want to get the quote exactly right. He said, well, first he said, when he sat through the Malema video, he said, I would like to know where this is from because I've never seen this. I'm telling you, the man lies like a fucking rug. He is such a disgrace. And then he decided that he was going to try to disrespect Trump in the Oval Office, and he said, I'm sorry I don't have a plane to give you. With Trump responding, if you had a plane to bring me, I would take it. It's an adorable little back and forth, isn't it? On the subject of the plane, I'm sorry, but Qatar has been expending an enormous amount of money. They've been making it rain, and they've been targeting right-wing media to spread their propaganda. And keep in mind, Qatar is a slave state. They practice slavery in Qatar. All that shiny stadium that they built for World Cup, it was built by slaves. Their exploitation of their migrant workers is well known around the world. And don't get me started on the human rights issues in Qatar and so on. And they've been making it rain among certain right-wing media figures, including, I'm sorry to say, my old friend Tucker Carlson, who sat down for an interview to interview a prominent figure in Qatar. I had seen some figures of how much Tucker was paid to conduct this interview. I don't think that they're accurate, and I haven't seen an accurate tabulation of how much Qatar is paying these right-wing media figures. But of course, he's the emir of Qatar is making it rain all over right-wing media. He's gone for Fox, Tucker, Candace, a number of other right-wing media figures. I'm guessing that he's greased Joe Rogan's palms, and that would explain at least why it is that some of these people have gone from being reasonable and sensible to openly spouting Qataris terrorist propaganda. Because, you know, those Hamas guys are still ensconced in Qatar. The top level chiefs of Hamas. So it's very disappointing to see that I don't give a shit about Candace or any of the rest of them. I couldn't give a fuck. I do care about Tucker because this is not the Tucker that I've known for years. This is not the same person. And for him to allow greed to get in the way of doing what's right with such an enormous platform is disgusting. It's disgusting, and I rebuke it. I absolutely rebuke it. I wish that I have an old email address for Tucker, but apparently he's disabled it. But I would love to get in touch with him and basically sit down in front of him, shake him, and say, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? Why are you lying to the world by presenting the kind face of these scumbags in Qatar and these slaveholders in Qatar? It's disgusting. And as far as that plane that Qatar gifted Trump, I'm sorry, but that looks very much like a bribe to me. Now, you can love Trump, you can think he's great, but imagine if a Qataris official had done the same with Biden or Bill Clinton or any of those other presidents that some of you who support Trump did not support. You would be screaming from the rooftops, as well you should. So I thought it was tacky for Trump to accept the plane. I think it's tacky for Qatar to offer, but somebody should have sat Trump down and said, absolutely not. No, not from them. No gifts. No gifts from them. And also those really expensive gifts that are offered from foreign nations, they're supposed to be held at the State Department. Whether it's a piece of jewelry, a scimitar sword, a painting, anything of value is supposed to be held by the State Department. It cannot be accepted by a public official. And the fact that Trump was willing to accept a whole ass motherfucking plane from Qatar is absolutely shameful. All right. So yeah, on Monday, I had a medical procedure, and I was as sick as a dog all day yesterday. And one of the things that I discovered when I went in for my medical procedure on Monday is that somehow, and I don't know how this happened, I have lost 30 pounds. So when Negz said to me a couple of weeks ago, God, you've lost a lot of weight. And I said, have I? And I went and I looked in the mirror at my abdomen, and I have so much loose skin on my abdomen. And then when the oncologist said to me that I'm a very thin lady, which is something I have not heard in decades, and then I got weighed at the hospital on Monday, and I thought, I haven't tried to lose weight, okay? I wasn't on a diet. I wasn't on an exercise plan, but I have mysteriously dropped 30 pounds. And I think I continue to drop more weight. My situation yesterday was so bad that the doctor that did the procedure on Monday said that if things didn't improve, I had to go to the emergency room. Thank God everything is fine now. I feel great. So we can dive in. We can dive into, Jarella, you know. Well, Jarella, I have cancer. And the last time I had cancer, I didn't lose this kind of weight, you know? But I have cancer now, and I've dropped this enormous amount of weight. So maybe after my surgery and everything else is done, maybe I'll gain it back. I don't know. But rest assured that my doctors are going to be on top of it. I'm glad that I lost the weight. I was just shocked to see how much. I thought, okay, maybe 15 pounds, maybe 20 at maximum, but 30 pounds, that's a lot of weight. All right, you guys. Now, the other day, Cheryl, who has been in this community for years and years and years. Cheryl, and I believe it was Cheryl, and if it wasn't Cheryl, then by all means, raise your hand and say, no, I did this. Cheryl was posting over and over again, not in the same chat, but in different chats, have you seen Maureen Callahan? Have you seen what she has said about the Kennedys. And I thought, who the hell is Maureen Callahan? I've never heard of her. And so I guess that Cheryl mentioned it more than once, more than twice, maybe even thrice. And so I guess that the YouTube algorithm picked up on the name Maureen Callahan and started offering up Maureen Callahan videos in my feed. I have linked Maureen Callahan's channel in the description box. This woman is a deliverance, is all that I can say. I haven't even heard what she said about the fucking Kennedys. I have no idea. I'm just working my way through everything else. Yes, her podcast is wonderful. I love her. So again, her podcast, her channel is linked in the description. Please, please, please. Oh, and thank you, Beth, for posting it in chat. This woman's podcast is so much fun, just like Kay says. And she does collabs with Meghan Kelly, and it's all gossip, and it's very malicious. And I love it. I love it. It's a lot of fun. So we are going to watch one of her podcasts today. And I'm going to play a part of another podcast because there's a little nugget of gorgeousness in each podcast. So, and her podcasts are about an hour long, so I don't want to play two back to back because that's too much. And plus, how much Harry and Meghan can you take in at any time? Now, I did want to send a shout out to Jan's Views. Because I know that if I speak ill of Meghan, that Jan will call me a racist. I've come to expect it. I got a heads up that the other day she did a segment on that Jan's Views for You channel, where she reviewed a little clip of my last stream with Crochetter. And she was trying to make the point that Crochetter and I have no chemistry together. Okay, fine. Then she made a crack at my teeth, even though Jan knows goddamn well that my top teeth are fake because of cancer and GERD. But okay, you stay classy, Jan. And then she had the nerve to bring up a clip of her and Crochetter when they used to do Sweet Talk together, to show what it looks like when two people have chemistry online. Okay, Jan. Jan, did you ever wonder why it is that nobody wants to be friends with you anymore? Except for that little crowd of misfits that you have around you, like Edna and people like that. You're not a very nice woman, Jan. And how many more times are you going to drag Jay Slater's bones out of the grave and rake them over to get attention on the internet? It's really sad. See, here's the thing about true crime channels, Jan. Since you think you know everything, most true crime channels do not focus on one single case for months at a time or years at a time, right? My advice to you is, Jay Slater is dead. He has been dead for quite some time. You have absolutely nothing new to reveal. Why don't you move on to a different case? Because at this point, Jan, what you are doing to Jay Slater is exploitation. It is deeply unethical. It is disgusting. And the fact that you are still using this dead young man to get views, yeah, great. All right. And you're very jealous and petty. And I'm sad for you. Well, not really, but it is a sad sight to see you out here pining away for your old friend Crochetter. And again, it's like these bitches get so jealous. Like, I come along, I snatch their man, gay or straight, or their friend of any gender, and they get really mad, and then they decide to insult me. Like, well, why don't you do some self-reflection and figure out why these people don't want to have anything to do with you? Why don't you do that? All right, now I'm going to bring up the first one. Thank you, Safari. I appreciate you. All right. And if everybody wouldn't mind, if you're not subbed already, please sub. A bunch of people came into my chat not long ago. They buddy trolled me. They subscribed and then they all unsubscribed. They all fucked off. So if you're new here, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be very, very cool. And of course, if you want to become a member, you want to send a little tippy poo, those are the accounts, and the membership link is at the top. All right, let's get into Maureen Callahan. And I love this one. The downward spiral of Michelle Obama and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. These topics are very close to my heart. And I'm sure that once I start bad-mouthing, or not bad-mouthing, but critiquing Michelle Obama, I'm going to be like the super racist. Oh my God, on this stream, I'm going to be critiquing 2 black women. Oh no. Oh no, somebody's going to say that I need to get fitted for a hood, right? Okay. All right, there's Maureen. She's amazing. Everybody subscribe to her. I love her. Let's go.
About whether you should continue that thought t-shirt, and you're going to see why, as a fashion, as we discussed the other day, is such an accepting place. Okay, first, we need to talk about Michelle Obama.
We do.
We need to talk about Michelle Obama and one of the most epic, sustained midlife crises happening in the public square in quite some time. Okay, so she gave an interview the other day. You know, she's got this new podcast
that nobody watches.
And in promoting this podcast, which I do not think is doing well, she talks to her brother, and they're not, you know, lighting the world on fire with these conversations, because neither one of them are really that bright or really that interesting. Or
okay, Michelle Obama is very bright. Michelle Obama is a charisma vacuum now. The brother is like a whole other thing. He looks exactly like her, except he's bald. But the podcast has been an unmitigated disaster. The views are terrible. It gets absolutely no buzz whatsoever. And the one thing that you can see, like the image, the impression that Michelle Obama gives on this podcast, she's very, very angry and very resentful. I don't know what the fuck she has to be so angry and resentful about. She and her husband made history when they went to the White House. She was praised everywhere as a great example of a first lady. And I have to say, Michelle Obama and I are the same age, okay? And one of the things about her was that when you reach a certain age, hello! I'm going to highlight that. Karsten's not here, okay? But I want him, when he goes back to look at the replay, I want him to read your comment. And I am so happy that you went to see it, because Karsten was asking me, please go to New York and see it. Go to New York and see it so you can tell me about it. Well, I don't want to go to New York. I am so glad you enjoyed it. Listen, Rachel, everybody, every single person has said that it is remarkable, that Sunset Boulevard is incredible, and that Nicole Scherzinger is a revelation. And that the staging of it is amazing, the costumes, everything about it is amazing. I am so glad that you enjoyed yourself. And Karsten, when you watch, rest assured that Rachel will be back when you are here, and she will give us a review. But she loved it, so this is great. Okay, so back to Michelle Obama, who is not Nicole Scherzinger, okay? Fantastic. That's what I've heard too. Didn't they get a record number of Tony noms that I understand are very, very well deserved? So, outstanding. Outstanding. And what an amazing, I mean, to take a gamble on Nicole Scherzinger, a former Pussycat doll, fantastic. So, well done. Absolutely well done. Okay. You know what, Zarfax, I agree that the video on John Hamm was really cheap. I think it was very cheap. I don't agree with critiquing somebody who's middle-aged by going back to what they did in college. I am not on board with that at all. And I am going to be very blunt with you guys. When Brett Kavanaugh was in his confirmation hearing, and they brought out the professor, and they had an encounter. They were at the same party when he was very, very young. And my objection was, at what point, what is the cutoff point for a confirmation hearing? Are we going to go all the way back to fucking high school now to determine whether or not somebody is fit to be a Supreme Court justice or to get some other political appointment? I mean, we have to make some reasonable decision as to what is the cutoff point. Is it college? I think college is way too soon, unless you are convicted of a violent crime, you know. But yes, exactly. I'm sort of who I was in college, sort of, but I'm much older, obviously, and I've calmed down a lot. So I don't agree with going back to college or to high school to determine the eligibility of a candidate for any high-level political appointment. I think that's ridiculous, and I've never really said that before, but that's how I feel. All right, so I don't even remember what I was saying. Let's continue.
Original. So, you know, we have to get some like eyeballs. We have to generate some headlines. And so Michelle has now been appearing on other people's podcasts to promote said podcast, which I think is called IMO, in my opinion, which is a terrible name. It tells me nothing. And frankly, after hearing Michelle bang on about her misery, lo these many months, I don't really want to hear your opinion, Michelle. Sorry, I don't.
Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Michelle Obama and I are the same age, and when she was First Lady, and she used to walk around in those sleeveless dresses, a lot of middle-aged ladies were very, very jelly, and I was one of them. Because when you get older, certain bits and pieces start to sag. And Michelle Obama, hi Jen, it's good to see you. Michelle Obama was one of those women with the tight arms, and she could wear that sleeveless stuff. And I was beside myself. And we all envied Michelle Obama's arms and how chic she was. And what a wonderful picture, and how beautifully she represented the United States when she would travel abroad with Barack Obama. I remember when they went to the UK and they were with Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, and Michelle Obama looked every inch a queen. She looked beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The dress, the jewelry, the hair, the makeup, everything. She was perfection. And a lot of us here in the United States could look at her and say, wow, that's a First Lady. You know, so for her to be so motherfucking angry now is incomprehensible to me. This woman, if she wanted to do a really great podcast, she could just tell stories about what it was like to be in the White House and tell the really cool stories. You know, not sit there bitching because they had to buy their own groceries, but tell the stories about these heads of state. Tell the stories about what it was like being in the palace. Tell the stories about what it was like meeting these movie stars and world leaders and stuff. Don't sit around bitching and moaning because you're going through midlife crisis, lady. Come on. You have lived a life that anybody would either envy or want to know more about. And this is the bullshit you choose to waste your time on. Okay.
So she goes on this guy, Jay Shetty's show. And if you don't know Jay Shetty, he is this very striking looking guy. He has these like piercing blue eyes. He is something of a self-help guru. He probably clogs up your algorithm.
I've never heard of him.
Instagram. He married Ben and J-Lo.
Well, that turned out like
2.0.
wonderfully.
So, that did not work out so well. So anyway, Michelle goes on Jay's podcast. And she uses a very interesting word to describe what is going on in her life right now. Take a look.
And at this, phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. I'm 60 years old. I finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I'm making is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that.
Michelle Obama used the word transitioning.
I'm sorry, but this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is much ado about nothing. And this one and Meghan Kelly are going to go through this whole litany of conspiracy theories. Transitioning from one point in your life to another, that used to be what transitioning was before it became what it is now. Okay. But, okay. All right, Maureen, you do your thing. I think it's bullshit, but let's continue.
She used the word transitioning, which in this culture for quite some time has meant only one thing. Okay. And that means we are going from one gender to the other.
Whatever.
Now, I think this is an epic attempt to generate some headlines that
Probably.
Michelle will no doubt take issue with. Okay.
Probably.
She's going to be in moral high dudgeon by Monday.
Dudgeon.
Okay, trust me. There is no way this was, if I know this stuff, she knows this stuff, her team knows this stuff. She knows that there is a cohort of people on the internet.
Sorry, this is bullshit.
Quit dragging his name and
Oh,
reputation.
here, yeah.
That her kids have launched. I mean, have they? We're going to get to that. So she no longer needs to worry about her words, what the kids need from me, what Barack needs from me. I think what Barack needs from you, Michelle, is to quit dragging his name and reputation through the public square.
I agree.
As the worst husband ever, the husband who made you a multi-millionaire, who put you in the White House, who put you in the history books. Okay. Leave Barack alone. Okay.
Yeah.
And
please.
then she says she doesn't need to worry about what the country needs from me. Okay. First of all, the hubris of this woman. First of all, she bitched and moaned about how awful it was to be the first lady, how awful it was for the media to give her a daily tongue bath about how she was the best, most glamorous, most substantial and consequential first lady since, frankly, Jacqueline Kennedy, which
I'm sorry, I don't remember it that way. I don't remember it that way. That woman couldn't even plant a motherfucking garden or, she couldn't do anything without certain elements of the press getting on her ass about it, Now, there are first ladies and there are first ladies. The first lady role is one that is constantly changing in terms of the country's expectations. And the country tends to be very far behind let's say, the progress that women have made when it comes to the roles of first ladies. Now, when you have first ladies like Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama, who are very educated and who came in and wanted to be like a helper to their husbands because they had been forever, but they had their own strengths. And then they were pigeonholed into these categories. I can't even remember what the fuck it was that Hillary took on. She tried to take on healthcare and she got dragged for it. And then eventually, and Hillary got dragged for her hairstyles, her pantsuits, her cankles, the size of her ass, all of that. But she was a serious person. Same thing with Michelle Obama, very, very well educated, right? And so when you're a woman like that and you are put in the spotlight and you are expected to be a Pat Nixon or a Mamie Eisenhower or a Jacqueline Kennedy or whatever, and you have more to offer than that, it chafes. You know what I mean? It really gets on your nerves. But Michelle Obama was both of them, Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama, were in for 8 years. And they somehow managed to find a way to navigate their role, but with a tremendous amount of controversy. If you're Melania Trump, right, and you come in and And they've created an entire legend for you saying that you graduated from a school with a degree that is not true, or that you're multilingual, and then it comes out that you don't know how to speak these languages that you're supposedly fluent in. It doesn't matter, because Melania Trump was a model. Okay, she's gorgeous. And so her role is to stand there, dressed beautifully, smile, do the little wave, and that's it. And that's all she wants to do. During the first Trump administration, she made it abundantly clear she didn't want to do jack shit as first lady. She didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to do the Easter egg roll. She didn't really want to do the decorating. She ripped out the rose garden. I mean, it was like a whole thing, right? But that was her contribution, which was nothing. Like, okay, yeah, I'm married to him, but I'm not going to do shit. Okay. So that's one way of being a first lady. But for God's sake, how long has Michelle Obama been out of the White House? How long? And you're really going to carry that anger with you all over the place? Why didn't you run for office? Why didn't you do something after you left the White House? I'm sorry, but my sympathy level, and I don't know what she's going through with Barack Obama. I have absolutely no idea what she's gone through. There have been stories that Barack Obama has been diddling Jennifer Aniston. I don't know if that's true. It doesn't even fucking matter. If that happened and this is the rough patch that she got over with her family, my condolences. That must be humiliating and a nightmare and everything else, but we don't know if it's true. But for God's sake, Michelle, if you have that much to offer, then offer it. That's all I can say.
Shame on you. Okay. Jackie Kennedy is in a class of her own. So now she's sort of free of this encumbrance, right? It's like a flex. It's a humble brag. Like, I don't have to worry about what the country needs from me. Well, Michelle, the country could have used your appearance at Jimmy Carter's funeral. I think a president whose post-presidency every American could look to and say, that guy was a decent guy. Maybe not the best president, but a decent, God-fearing guy who really cared about his community. And
I did not know that Michelle Obama didn't go to Jimmy Carter's funeral. I didn't know that. And speaking of Jimmy Carter, I think that all of us can agree that he was a horrible president. One of the worst presidents in American history. After they left the White House, Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter picked up hammers and started building houses for Habitat for Humanity. That's what they did. And Jimmy Carter continued to build houses until long after most people would have retired. So, and I think that everybody agrees that that was a pretty amazing thing that he and his wife did. Because a lot of ex-presidents just go on the speaking circuit, get book deals, make money. And let's just say that, Jimmy Carter and his wife were sui generis in that they went into a very humble area and did and walked the walk and hammered the hammer. All right.
Unlike you and your husband retired from public life when they left the White House. They didn't go around hat in hand going, hey, Netflix, you want to give me like 30 mil? Hey, like Simon & Schuster or whoever their publisher was, want to give us a $60 million joint book deal? Okay. And also, what the country also needs from you, and I think your husband could have used from you, is not leaking that you were fuming because your husband dared to attend the inauguration of Donald Trump. And that, by the way, at Jimmy Carter's funeral, you were also seething because your husband sat next to Donald Trump and laughed it up. And
so she did go to Jimmy Carter's funeral? I've lost track. I don't know. It doesn't even matter.
Basically telegraphed to the country that nobody thinks this guy is going to destroy democracy or is really a racist, that they were engaged in what is, textbook political warfare. When the dust settles and the election is over, we all just come together and try to make sure the next president is a success. Okay. I also want to note that in their coverage of Michelle's latest, utterances, the New York Post called her Okay, she's the former first lady. They called her the Waffles Emoji alum, and I almost fell off my chair laughing.
The Waffles
because that's one of those
Emoji
Netflix
alum.
shows that she produces, along with Lest We Forget, a show that Netflix tried to bury, that Michelle Obama produced and was the face of, a reality dating show called Later Daters. Okay, like older people looking for love. Later Daters. Okay,
I swear to fucking God, the Michelle Obama and Meghan Markle tracks are so similar. They're so similar. You know, women who were married to much more prominent men with the name, if you will, launching shitty podcasts that flop, getting these huge Netflix deals that don't really bear fruit, you know, that are underwhelming in terms of the payoff. I think the books did well. I know his did. Barack Obama's books did very, very well. I don't know how well her book did. I think it did fairly well. I don't remember. But it's really sad that as the former First Lady, that your progress can be compared to Meghan Markle, who is a relentless attention seeker and fabulous, and who has failed at pretty much everything that she has tried to do, except for marrying into royalty. That she did very well. But all these business projects that she's taken on with Netflix and so on have been an absolute disaster. Let's continue.
this is what this woman is doing with her life. So, you know, shut it. She also revealed that after her beloved mother died 1 year ago this May, she was 86 years old. So she had a good long life. Barack joked to Michelle. This is what Michelle says Barack joked to her. Barack allegedly said, "You're up next." You're up next. Okay, let's listen to Michelle relay this and see how she does it.
I guess if anything, with mom's loss, I think thank God you're my big brother and I have a husband who's older, because Barack was saying, you know, well, you're next up. And I was like, I'm not really ready to be next up. So I told him, you're next up.
Wow. That's like Edward Albee level stuff. That's like Who's Afraid of Virginia
Oh,
Woolf.
come
Like,
on now.
She really has quite the retort there.
Come on now.
I'm sure he was joking. I'm sure it was a little bit of black humor. You know, Barack Obama lost his mother when he was on the verge of getting elected. No, his grandmother. His mother died a long time ago.
Right.
His beloved grandmother, who practically raised him, died right before he was elected. She didn't get to see that, and I'm sure he would have loved for her to have seen that. So, you know, I can't. Okay, so I want to get to Malia Obama, the elder of the two Obama girls.
Okay.
Who has been trying to get a Hollywood career off the ground for quite some time. And, you know, when Michelle said in that earlier clip that, you know, the kids are launched, and I said, are they? I don't necessarily know that they are, because Malia is involved in a bit of a plagiarism scandal. I think you can apply plagiarism to anything that, you know, extends beyond, say, the written word.
Yeah.
So there was this filmmaker who had a short film premiere at Sundance last year, and Malia has just directed, I'm going to use this in quotes because it's my suspicion that she had a lot of help, or maybe she didn't, because these two things are extremely similar. First, we're going to look at a clip from the Sundance film. It's called Grace.
Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 2, 1.
Okay, now let's look at Malia Obama's Nike ad.
Rachel Wilson's on top, top, top. Can't take her spot, spot, spot. She's a real one through.
Okay.
1, 2, and 3, 3, 3. Her game is T, T, T.
Well, isn't that interesting?
I think that's a stretch. However, I don't know what patty cake has to do with Nike. I mean, was that advertising a product? If so, I missed it. It's very close, don't get me wrong. I mean, do we know that Malia saw the film and got the idea from the film? That's a tough one. But again, my complaint is I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be advertising.
Now, I think that this filmmaker, she has a point. I think she's got a good case. You know, I also don't understand what patty cake on a porch has to do with Nike. Just go for it. I don't understand that at all. And not for nothing, this is the first time I've seen that ad. I absorb a fair amount of television. So, maybe Nike isn't so happy with what the final product was. A few notes about Malia and the Obamas and this insufferability that is just, they're spewing our way. Malia interned for Harvey Weinstein.
Okay.
Okay, before the trial, long before this shit hit the fan. So you can't tell me, again, I'm just a regular person in New York working. Okay, I work in the media, but we all knew about Harvey Weinstein. We all knew. You cannot tell me that Barack and Michelle Obama did not know.
Yeah, I was just a regular person working in the media in DC, and I had known years prior to the trial that Harvey was a problem. I'd known years prior. So they must have known. There's no way they didn't. Let's put it that way. It is impossible for them not to have known. How about that? Is that definitive enough? Yes.
Malia then interned for Lena Dunham. Okay, Malia was 17 years old, and she was working for Lena Dunham on the set of the very explicit HBO show Girls. Okay, we're going to get into Lena a bit in another show. But Lena told Howard Stern that Malia was an angel. There was no way they were going to have her go get their coffee.
Why not?
For them. I mean, why not?
Oh.
Make this kid grind it out and earn her stripes and know what it's like to work her way up from the bottom. And she also told VF that in 2017, she told them in 2017, then back when Malia was working for her, the Secret Service kept her from her own bathroom because, Malia was in there. Okay. And then she went to work for Donald Glover, who's got this dual career as Childish Gambino, the rapper, who I think he has since retired. And he was the auteur behind Atlanta, in my estimation, a very highly overrated show.
I never saw it.
And she was in his writer's room. Okay. And, I'm just going to say she has had access to some very powerful Hollywood people.
Absolutely.
So Donald Glover recently said on a red carpet within the past couple of years on hiring Malia as a writer, she's just like an amazingly talented person. She's really focused and she's working really hard. And he thought she was going to go on to be a great success. Okay, Malia Obama is now 26. She's been working in the industry for nearly 10 years. She's super connected. She wants a meeting with Ted Sarandos over at Netflix. Done. Bob Iger.
Yep.
Done. Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the hugest Democratic donors in the country. Done.
Yep.
I think we just would have seen a flash of greatness by now. My friends, Brand Obama seems to be in free fall. And there is no one better to dive into this with than my friend and fellow actress, fellow producer. Sorry, not fellow. She's a producer. I'm not. Screenwriter. What can't this woman do? Is now a guest on The Nerve. Look at this. Thank you, MK, for coming on the show. I so appreciate it.
I mean, I'm everywhere. The two of us are everywhere.
See you later, Beth.
We're making it happen, Maureen. I love it.
I love it too. And I have been dying to talk to you about Michelle Obama's ongoing midlife meltdown, as you put it, her Stegosaurus hairdos. The utterance the other day, she says she's transitioning.
Okay, I don't want to hear this part. This is retarded.
As a dude, okay? That's what they maintain.
And she have been out there suggesting Trump is Hitler. She wouldn't even go to Trump's inauguration. It doesn't seem like the high road. So she wants credit for taking the high road, even though, of course, she hasn't and she doesn't. And it's not where she spends her time. It's just like anything, Maureen. Like you and I, we wouldn't be out there being like, we only take the high road. We have nothing to compensate for. We're perfectly content on the low road and we'll make no apologies.
Exactly.
While we're there. She's dishonest, right? So she's got to say she's something other than what she is. Same way Anna Wintour had to pretend she understands the Black experience because she decided to do Black dandyism this year.
Oh my God, did you guys see the pictures from the Met Gala this year? Yet again, although I will say that this time, more of the guests at the Met Gala really did lean into the theme of the Met Gala. When the Met fucking Gala had the theme of camp, and nobody got it right, Or maybe like one or two people. I can't even remember who those one or two people were. And you have the fashion industry, and you have all those amazing gay stylists running around, and not one of them can put together an outfit that is camp. Are you fucking kidding? You all failed. All of you get an F on your report cards. This time around, there were some looks that were perfect. Some of the people that showed up were absolutely spot on, and what a relief. Because usually they do the theme, right? They announce the theme, and then people show up wearing whatever the fuck it is they want, and they look terrible. This time, we saw some really, really good and some very clever tongue-in-cheek nods to Black dandyism, and it was terrific. So, but yeah, okay.
There are no blacks running fashion houses, and even when they've come under the microscope,
see you later,
she's
Breeze.
kept it down to a minimum. So, in any event, I think she's a hypocrite. I think she's false, but I think the thing that's genuine about her is her depression, her unhappiness, her self-loathing, and her loathing of him.
Oh, 100%. And I think the Meghan Markle analogy is completely correct.
Oh,
I think
we all
we're
figured
seeing
it out.
now, like Hilaria Baldwin is becoming much more aggressive against her husband because she's got the leverage now.
Hillary Baldwin, this Hilaria thing is ridiculous.
Like, it's cheaper to keep her. Like, he can't divorce her. Like, these cases have bankrupted him. So she's out there talking. She's spilling all of his personal secrets. Like, I'm going to get into this book she just wrote. But she's spilling all of his personal secrets and snapping at him on red carpets and basically saying, I run this show. People are interested in me, not you.
Madam.
And just like those other two, she has not an original thought in her head. She has absolutely nothing to say. She has nothing to offer. She is in deep rage that she is well known only because of the marriage she made. And I think really resents the person she decided to marry.
You know, Alec Baldwin's wife has more chutzpah than anyone I can imagine. She faked being a Spaniard. She fakes that accent. Now she's saddled him with what, like 6 kids? So she's not going anywhere. She is incredibly bossy and rude around him. And I mean, the nerve of this fucking woman. Everybody knows that she's a fraud. Everyone knows that she slips in and out of that ridiculous, you know, Spanish accent. But she's not Spanish. She was born and raised in, like, what, Long Island or something? Or Massachusetts? What a fraud that woman is. But boy, she won't give it up, will she? Absolutely will not give it up. And the fact that she can still show her face in public while pretending to be a Spaniard is amazing to me.
And with Michelle and Meghan Markle, and hilarious, unusual, because the bulk of the media is still pretending like she didn't tell us she was from Spain. She just likes to adopt a Spanish accent. Greatest story ever. But there's something about these two women in particular, rich beyond their wildest dreams. They got a level of fame they never would have gotten on their own. And I don't know how, I don't know what is going on in there. You know, I think there are people who will never let themselves be happy. And I think there are people who are comfortable in a state of grievance and martyrdom and rage.
Hey, Snutter.
This drives me nuts because I know a lot of rich women, rich because they married a rich man. And they're fine. They're cool. They're thrilled. You know, they don't run around like overcompensating all the time or trying to prove to everybody, I am also special. I'm special too. They're like, my life's grand. I got these nice cars and this nice house and this, you know, guy who takes care of me. Like, that is the way to do it if you decide to do it. What happened in both of these cases is they shot, you know, for the moon and they got it. You know, Harry landed the elephant. She got her prince. And Michelle got, you know, the star at Harvard who was very clear was going to be making a huge impact in Democrat politics. And then they spent the rest of the time seemingly resentful or even jealous. Like, that's what I detect from these two women. Like, there's an envy by them toward their husbands for being the main stars.
Right.
To the point where now Meghan Markle has almost like rearranged it all. You know, Dan Wootton was on my show the other day saying he's now realized he's the spare to her.
Right.
She's so used his fame and connections and his ability to help her make money that she's re-engineered the whole thing to where she's the breadwinner and he is just the whipped loser back at the house.
Pretty much.
Which is exactly what Michelle Obama would kill for. She doesn't want Barack Obama in the headlines anymore. She wants it to be her. And so she's crapping all over him while still kind of using the Obama name and the time in the White House to make herself relevant.
Yeah, but that's a complete waste of what Michelle Obama could offer. First of all, listen, just when Barack Obama was first elected to the Senate, okay, before he ran for president, and he was in the Senate for like 5 minutes and started his presidential campaign almost immediately. The office building that he worked in, the Senate office building, was right behind the bar where I used to hang out. And so I would walk down that street, and one time I bumped into him, and we started chatting. And Barack Obama, now this was many, many years ago, like 20 years ago. But Barack Obama, when he first was elected to the Senate, was incredibly charming, very nice, very down to earth. And he had given that keynote address at the Democratic Convention, which is how he launched his star, because he was nobody. He was just another Chicago politician and a community organizer. And so he gets elected to the Senate, and it was a weird Senate campaign. You guys have to go back and take a look at what happened, okay? His opponent, whose last name was Ryan, I can't remember the first name, but the guy was married to the actress who played Seven of Nine on that Star Trek spinoff. And it came out that they were involved in all of these like sex parties and whatever. So his candidacy went down the toilet. Alan Keyes, that grifter, moves from Maryland, or doesn't even move, gets a Chicago post office box so that he can run against Barack Obama. It was like one opponent after another after another. They flamed out. Barack Obama won. He was elected to the Senate. It's an amazing story. I mean, Barack Obama has the luck of the Irish when it comes to this kind of shit, right? And so he gets elected to the Senate, and he pretty much immediately starts his presidential campaign, starts putting out feelers and whatever. But in the meantime, he was a very down-to-earth, very lovely, very humble person. And so every now and then he and I would run into each other on the street. It was just a coincidence, and we would chit-chat and stuff. And I thought, God, what a great guy, I mean, genuinely, what a great guy. Funny, at ease, charming, intelligent. And not just in that like superficial fake politician way, but like in a genuinely, wow, this guy's really cool way, And so, listen, I don't live under the Obama's roof. I don't know what the hell goes on. I'm not married to the guy. I'm not around him 24/7. But Michelle Obama also had some rude cracks that she would unleash in his direction when he ran for president the first time. And I remember that Maureen Dowd wrote a column, and I know Maureen Dowd, she's awful, right? Just awful. One of the most overrated individuals working in the press, and somebody who has convinced me that the Pulitzer Prize has absolutely no value anymore because she's won it. But she used to write columns about how nasty and like shady Michelle Obama was towards Barack Obama. And she's like, what the fuck? And then I thought, well, they're a married couple. People develop their own sense of humor, their own way of communicating with each other. But here we are, like, 20 years later? And you can see she's mad. She's mad. No, not even 20 years later. They left office in 2017. So 8 years later, and she's angry, mad as fuck.
Right. And so like this is what I think this is just one long tease. Like I think she wants out. I think he would be happy to be done with her. Okay.
Yes.
Like, is he like paying his penance for becoming the first Black president and like seeming to be like a kind of decent guy? Like, is he paying his penance because Michelle isn't as great as he is and she never will be? So he's just going to suck it up until is he going to let her be the one to file? I just find this, I've never seen such deep loathing on the public stage. I was trying
She's
to think
very
of
angry.
any other famous person who's gone through a divorce. I mean, I don't think since Woody and Mia, frankly, it's been something like this disgusting. You know, like
Let's
have
not
your dignity.
exaggerate.
I mean, other than someone who's a sworn enemy of yours, have you ever talked that negatively about somebody uniformly? You know, like you can never say anything nice about them. It's like,
You know what's funny? I never met Tipper Gore, but I always had a problem with her after that bullshit with Susan Baker and the PMRC. I absolutely hated it. And, you know, people made a big deal about how, oh, she was a drummer in a band that was like Josie and the Pussycats and all this. Yeah, but she launched the PMRC, which was a disaster. Although those congressional hearings were fucking hilarious. Okay? They were fucking hilarious. And that idea to put labels on record albums, congratulations. All that you guys accomplished was driving younger customers to the albums that had the stickers on them, the parental warning stickers. So I never forgave her for that. Never. Those of us who grew up in the 80s, who came of age in the 80s, will never forgive Tipper Gore. Not ever. All right.
okay, now there are public figures who we don't like and we criticize, but like someone who's in your life,
right,
who you get
right.
asked about. Like, it's just so bizarre. I don't, and her defense now, because it's coming in the news, you know, like her negativity about him has made news, not just with the yous and the me's of the world. And her defense now, she keeps sliding in here and there, is it's me trying to humanize him. I'm trying to
right.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And me was like, okay, Barack Obama is one of the most recognizable, famous people in the world.
Correct.
We don't need you anymore to make introductions for Barack Obama or to humanize him anymore. Like, we know who he is. It's a known commodity.
Yeah, we do.
Like, it's very clear you're doing it because
Thank you,
can't
Jen.
stand him. And what I found is I listen to her go on and on about how bad he is and how.
Thank you, Jen, so much for the 10 memberships. Everybody who gets a membership, enjoy it. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank the people who re-signed up for the memberships. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. And thank you, Jen. You are so kind. I really appreciate it. And enjoy your memberships, guys.
About how bad her life is and how the White House sucked. She's just like Meghan Markle. My castle's
just
too
like her.
small. And then there's Michelle Obama. The White House made me pay for my own groceries. Like these two entitled, have-it-all people.
Right.
The more I really start hoping that he is having that affair with Jennifer Aniston. That's what I think. Who could blame him?
I mean, who could blame him? I mean, I actually really did love your theory that when I was in your studio, it was maybe a couple of months ago, and you were like, I don't think his next great romance is with a woman.
You're right. Right.
Well, come on now.
If I heard it was like, I don't know, some guy who worked in his garden, I might believe it now.
No, that is absolutely the point. And when I heard you the other day taking this apart, where she was bitching about having to buy her own groceries while
Right.
she was living for free in the White House,
Yeah.
a staff that was paid for.
Correct.
I didn't even know prior to her latest bitch sesh that the first lady has her own plane.
I didn't know that
White
either.
Star.
Right. But she still found a way to complain about it.
Yeah.
It's like, so let me just get this straight. We, the people, moved you and your whole family into the White House. We gave him Air Force One. We gave you your own plane. You're in a 55,000 square foot mansion with an 18-acre estate around you, your own rose garden, your own staff, your own wing. You know, she's got the East Wing. Okay, all of that. You're universally beloved and celebrated and put on magazine covers. You name your own book, Becoming.
Right.
Who does that? Okay, but you're still celebrated as one of the world's most lovely and loved people, okay? And you're still unhappy about what again? about the fact that when the girls ride on the plane, you have to pay the equivalent of an airline ticket for them.
Yeah.
And you have to pay for your own food, like every other human alive.
Right.
Like all of us, right? Like who's going to, she's so out of touch. She doesn't realize we're not going to feel sorry for her for having to pay for her groceries and her kids' airlines.
The balls on her, no pun intended. You know, I'm just saying, like the nerve,
Yeah.
the nerve
The
to
nerve.
say, I had to pay for my groceries, like all of us do. Is she paying for like gas and electric in the White House? I doubt it.
I had no idea that the First Lady had to pay for groceries. That was a new one. I thought all of that stuff was handled. I had no clue. No clue. It's the first time I've ever heard it.
Is she paying for the pool guy to clean the in-house White House pool, or the bowling alley, or the screening room where they have movie stars come and get first-run pictures of whatever they want to see? No, no, and no.
Right.
No.
She doesn't even have a stop in traffic. And even now, she's like, but I really deeply worry about my country and my daughters. Not me. I have my 4-car motorcade and law enforcement following me everywhere.
Right.
I'm Michelle Obama. But my daughters, they're only barely recognizable, and they're brown, so they could be picked up at any moment by this evil Trump's department and sent off to El Salvador. So I'm deeply worried about my 2 privileged daughters and all brown people in America because the country's racist, you see?
You know what's funny is that when I was thinking about Malia and Sasha Obama, I remember seeing Chelsea Clinton at a record store when Bill Clinton first got into office. So Chelsea was quite young. And she was with a bunch of school friends, and they were at a record store in Mazza Gallery, which no longer exists. And the thing that struck me about seeing her in public was that you couldn't see where the Secret Service agents were. So what they did was they assigned very young-looking Secret Service agents to her. So the Secret Service agents could have been the boys that were hanging out with them, but very youthful-looking. So what the Secret Service tried to do with the kids was they tried to be as discreet as possible. I remember one time I was parked on 17th Street, and I saw Chelsea Clinton crossing the street. And it looked like she was by herself, but I knew she wasn't because, of course, she had protection. It's just that you couldn't see them. They started to get a lot better at hiding. And I'm not sure when the children of presidents lose their protection or when they can say enough already. Because I went to college with Amy Carter, and she did not have Secret Service with her. So I think that they reach a certain age and they can say that's enough. I don't want these guys hanging around anymore. I feel uncomfortable. But I wonder what the Secret Service has done to make it less obvious that Sasha and Malia are being protected by the Secret Service, if they've even tried to be subtle about it. But like I said, with Chelsea Clinton, they were very, you couldn't see them. That was the point.
The country that made me at least 100 millionaire, probably closer to a billionaire now, is racist to its core. Poor me. I was screwed over in the White House. I'm still getting screwed over. And poor brother Craig is there. Like, it's even worse than you thought, Sister Michelle. As bad as you think you had it even worse. Like, her enabler, codependent brother.
Her brother, frankly, seems terrified of her. He really does. Like, every time he dares to gently contradict her, she'll be like, nope, that's not the way it happened. And he'll be like, you're right. You're right.
Yes, like when he was like, well, maybe if we knew you weren't feeling great, like we would say something. And then of course she's like, we shouldn't have to ask. We shouldn't have to tell you. She snapped back.
I think that the point is that the podcast is total cringe. It is fucking cringe. Please, if you ever respected Michelle Obama, if you admired her in any capacity, do not tune into that podcast. It is an absolute disaster. And she is so angry. And am I going to get called racist for saying she's an angry black woman? Probably. But guys, there is no reason for that woman to be so angry. There's no reason that we know of. So anyway.
Like, you should just figure it out.
She totally did. She also criticized him and, men in general for the way they interpersonally relate, right? Like if they have a friendship conflict, men among men, they just sort of hash it out. They forget it. It's a bygone. It is never revisited. They never exhume that grievance. And she's saying she thinks that's the wrong way to go in life. Because Michelle, the master of grievances, likes to hash that shit out. She likes to beat that carcass further into the ground, and she will not let go. And you have to have like a multi-day summit and then revisit that maybe months down the road. And she's saying that's a healthy way to be.
Yeah. So that's the difference between her spouse, who doesn't seem to put up with her nonsense and her endless wanting, to have these talks about everything, and Meghan's spouse.
Oh, here we go.
Meghan married somebody who is not well, Meghan Markle. Like Prince Harry is a weak, damaged man who doesn't have the inner strength that Barack Obama has.
Right.
Listen, I understand Barack Obama's faults and the vein and all, like, just of all of that. But he doesn't have, like, such a tiny id the way Harry does, who does, like, he doesn't really have a fundamental sense of himself. And so he was so easy for Meghan Markle to manipulate.
Very.
All she needed was that first meeting. She was totally right that he would be like putty in her hands, that he would buy. He's too dumb. Of course, he bought every act she delivered, hook, line, and sinker, her little ingenue. I'm so sweet and innocent. I don't even know who the queen is. I have no idea you were a prince.
And exactly.
He was so easy to manipulate. But Barack is stronger. So Michelle has gone like further into the doldrums of like, the only thing miserable people want is to make others miserable too. And she 100%. Can't seem to do it with him. She's only gotten more angry, in my opinion, because she can't do it to him. He's got too big a life. He's too important to too many people. And she's not his only company.
And he will not take the bait. He will not allow himself to be debased this way.
Good.
Like he's kind of gray rocking it. He's not responding to any of it.
Yeah.
And he does strike me fundamentally as an optimistic person. He strikes me as somebody who really enjoys life.
Yes.
And like, he's not going to get down in the mud with this. And I think you're right. I think his lack of response is sending her into a further and further rage spiral because she can't get what she wants. Any attention is better than no attention. And it goes to her husband. It goes to her flailing podcast because she's got nothing to offer us anymore.
This is why I love you, Maureen. Doesn't everyone love The Nerve? I genuinely love the show. I have not missed one.
Thank you.
So you're right. They're not, these two things are incongruous. And because one of them, and that means one of them is not true. And the one that is not true is his desire for reconciliation. He does.
Oh, okay. Wait,
things.
I don't want to skip this over.
Last Friday, but it's got legs for days, in which he says two things that do not go together. He implies that the British royal family had something to do with Diana's death.
Right.
That they would like to
That's Harry.
Grievous harm, we know what that means, come to Harry and Meghan and their two small innocent children, and also that he would love to get back in.
Exactly.
Would love nothing more than to get back in.
Yes, this is why I love you, Maureen. Doesn't everyone love The Nerve? I genuinely love the show. I have not missed.
Okay, and here's the thing. Harry lost a court case where he was trying to make the case that the British public needs to pay for his security because, according to Harry, he is at the top of the list for targets, for assassination targets. Prince Harry, is considered to be the most at-risk individual in, from the UK to be taken down by assassins. Okay. Then Harry is photographed by a Ring camera because he's meandering about some neighborhood in London. And he's saying that he and his family cannot go to the UK unless they have all this protection because, again, he is the #1 target for assassins. All right. Then there's a photograph that's taken, an image that's taken from a Ring camera where Harry is wandering around a neighborhood in London, completely alone, in a suit jacket, where he's ringing on doorbells, because presumably that house had once belonged to a friend of his, and he was looking for this person. He is completely unaccompanied. No security, no nothing. This is right after he finishes bellyaching to his father and to the British courts that it is far too risky for him and his family to travel to the UK without top-level security. But there he is wandering around by himself in some random London neighborhood. It was farcical. This is why you can tell he's not too bright. Not too bright, but let's continue.
This one.
Thank you.
So you're right. They're not, these two things are incongruous. And because one of them, and that means one of them is not true. And the one that is not true is his desire for reconciliation. He does believe all those things. I think he actually does believe them. I think it stems back to his childhood trauma, which was genuine at the loss of his mother, the way she died. And unlike William, who also had the same trauma.
Exactly.
And was only a couple of years older than Harry, dealt with it. Like, he dealt with it and went on to have a relatively, it looks like from the outside anyway, healthy family life.
Right.
In his own, created family. And Harry has not been able to get over it. And I almost think, like, the way, if your parents abuse you, you'll marry an abuser. Like, there's something psychologically that makes
Right.
you, like, need a redo over and over, hoping for another outcome. He's like, with the way he talks about something happening to him or Meghan, it's got like a hopeful tinge to
I
it.
agree. That it's very weird. No, it's very weird.
He almost wants something to happen, but so that he can be like, I told you.
That's right.
See, it's my mother all over again. Like, he needs it. Like, he needs to feel special. He needs to feel under attack. She does too. I mean, they create
Yeah.
these fake dramas around them to try to, it's almost like, Maureen, I remember when I was a little kid, I might have broken a toe. I don't know. I went with it. It's broken. I'm like, I need a cast. I need crutches. I couldn't wait to go into school because I loved attention. And I was like, this is going to attract all sorts of attention to me. Now, I was still in the single digits when I did this. And now, like with my kids, I can see it happening from a mile away when they do it. They can get away with nothing. But that's how he still is. And Meghan Markle, too. Like, he needs the drama of, like, they're out to get us. They want to kill us. The press is going to lead to Meghan getting killed just like my mother.
It's crazy.
All the stuff I just mentioned is, like, combined to create this delusional, paranoid, sad sack that used to be
Agreed.
a sought-after prince, and now it's
Agreed.
just sort of like a charity case where you're like, oh.
It's you're so right about that sort of.
A guy who flew helicopters in Afghanistan. It's so fucking cringe. It is so cringe. And I agree that he has this weird premonition. And it is almost like wishful thinking. I don't even know if he realizes the way he speaks, but it's almost like, wow, I really wish that somebody would take a shot at me or my wife or even my children. That way I could prove that I really was this much at risk all along. It is vile and it is grotesque, right? But that's how Harry is. And I don't know. I mean, supposedly, Megxit was supposedly done for the benefit of both of for their mental health benefit for both of them. And Harry has gotten worse since he's come to the United States. He's gotten worse. He's gotten more entitled. He's gotten more paranoid. He's not happy, and I think that, well, Meghan basically created the rift between Harry and his family. Harry's father has still not met the kids, the grandkids. The grandkids haven't met their cousins. They haven't met their aunts and uncles. They haven't met any of the family. And that's because of Meghan. Meghan Markle has created that rift. She's created a rift between Harry and the Beckhams. She's created a rift between Harry and all of his old friends. None of them talk to him anymore. None of them. She has iced out all of his old buddies. And she started doing that very early, by the way. So he is so isolated in California. They don't have famous buddies. They don't have famous friends. Meghan has tried her best to try and ingratiate herself to, the A-list, and she has failed. Nobody wants to have anything to do with her. I mean, the only celebrity that she could find to appear in that Martha Stewart show of hers was Mindy Kaling, and I don't even think they know each other that well, to be honest with you. So the whole project has failed. Except they keep on getting paid money to produce flops, and that can only last for so much longer. But she has completely destroyed Harry's relationships that go back years. His family, his friends, his buddies. in the Royal, was it the Royal Marines or the Royal, it was the Royal Marines, wasn't it? Thank you, Jen. I appreciate, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jen. I appreciate you. No. No, 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 no. He has not met the grandkids. No. No. And the grandkids have not met their Uncle William and their Aunt Catherine and their cousins. No. No, because Harry made up that whole lie that it was too risky for them to go. But the truth is, Meghan doesn't want to go to the UK. And apparently, William had offered an entire palace to Harry for his own personal use. And it wasn't good enough for Harry. It wasn't good enough. That Harry could basically have the run of Buckingham Palace. It's a pretty big place, right? Wasn't good enough. No. So, thank you, Jen. I appreciate you. That's exactly what she is. Yeah. It's very, very sad. Let's continue.
Arrested behavior. You know, I think William, one of the healthiest things he did, part of him falling in love with Catherine, Princess of Wales, I really think had to do with her family of origin.
Agreed.
And they were intact and they were loving and they seemed to have a very healthy, emotional sort of relationship amongst all of them. And he was very attracted to that.
Yeah.
And I think he found that normalcy and that groundedness and the things that, you know, he was maybe lacking given his birthright. And Harry, meanwhile, was just left to stew in it.
Right.
And I think the thing too that you're saying is so right on and it's so perverse because like in that BBC interview, he was bragging that like on the threat hit list, he's number one.
Yeah.
Like he's
ridiculous.
Right, sure.
I would not be bragging about that. If a government agency came to me and said, you know what, Maureen, suddenly for whatever reason, you're like at the top of the list of people who are going to be like in grave danger. I would be like, let me not publicize that.
Right.
That doesn't seem right.
Right. No,
Right.
I've never seen somebody so anxious to disclose his alleged security threats.
Right.
It is strange. Like I actually had a very, very dark period when I first became a journalist where I developed a very bad stalker. Nobody knew who I was. I was on the weekend shifts on Fox, but I happened to be
nobody
the one person.
knew. You weren't that famous yet.
Not at all, not at all. But just happened to be the one person who developed this very dangerous stalker. And now I talk about it. This 20 years ago, right? Like it's long resolved. The guy went to jail for 10 years. But at the time, I would rather be caught dead. I was like, hell no. Anything I say could like encourage the person or create another such person. Or like if you're actually under threat and genuinely afraid for your safety, you don't want to go anywhere near that discussion.
That's
and
right.
The whole lawsuit with the family and the security, that was just his attempt to like win, you know, to punish them, to say like, you're not in control of me. Like I will get what I'm entitled to. I'm a Prince of England. You know, I will have it because we all know, number one, he has the money to pay for private security.
Exactly.
All the private security he wants. Now, it's true, you cannot arm them in Great Britain. They're not allowed to carry guns.
Yes.
So that's a diminishment of full protection. But it's what Taylor Swift has to deal with. It's what Tom Cruise has to deal with.
That's
it's
right.
what every massive star, way more famous than Harry, has to deal with when they go to the UK. And speaking of stalkers, I guarantee you Taylor Swift is in far more danger at any public appearance than Prince Harry is.
I agree.
So, but the second point, Dan Wooten told me, and he broke Meg said he's broken.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Ariana Grande, we know, is in more danger. You know, after that Manchester Arena bombing, Ariana Grande is a target. And a much greater target than Harry. And Harry served in Afghanistan. So, honestly, the guy is just delusional.
All these big royal stories. That the king said to Harry, okay, Queen Elizabeth said you cannot have the security the same as you would if you were working royal. We cannot look at the taxpayers and tell them they have to foot that bill since you're not doing any work for us and you fled the coop and you're trying to make money off of all our stories on Netflix.
Right.
But whenever you come here, you can stay in Buckingham Palace.
Here we go.
And you get all the security that comes with that. And Harry refuses to do it, even though, Maureen, no one's in Buckingham Palace. William and Kate are at a different palace, and so are Charles and Camilla. So he'd have Buckingham Palace to himself with all the security, and he still is on the BBC going, boo fucking who? Feel sorry for me.
Incredible. Such a great point. And like, let's say even a family member happened to be in Buckingham Palace. It's like, you could conceivably never see them.
Exactly.
Okay? You've got like 85 rooms and staff and foot soldiers, and it's all going to be fine. I wanted to ask you, the Diddy trial, we are in day 4. It's happening in New York City. They are still winnowing down this jury pool.
Okay, I'm going to cut her off there because I want to play the Taylor Swift portion of another podcast, which I thought was very amusing. You know, Doris, I have to say this. What an unbelievable, crushing disappointment Harry has turned out to be. I mean, he was my favorite. The Invictus Games, the incredible promotional stunts that he would, cook up to promote the Invictus Games. All the Wounded Warrior stuff that he did. I mean, I had so much respect for Harry, and I liked the fact that he wasn't a stuffed shirt. I liked the fact that he was entertaining in that he was nude in Vegas and carrying on and behaving in an unroyal fashion. I loved that. And I remember when he came to DC, what an event it was when Harry came to DC before he married Meghan, before he met her, actually. And I am so disappointed that he's turned into this, what is the Shakespearean word, this mewling character. He's gone from serving in Afghanistan and doing this great stuff with the warriors and everything to this pathetic, whiny, spoiled, entitled asshole, basically. And I'm very disappointed also that he did not have the stones to stand up to his wife and say, I am going to maintain a relationship with my family. I am going to reach out to my old buddies, my old military buddies, and my old friends from school in the UK, whether you like it or fucking not. I am going to maintain those friendships. I am going to stay friends with the Beckhams. I am going to, I am going to repair the relationships that I damaged with my family. Because I do think he's on the fence. I think that he is someone who deeply misses his family. He deeply misses them. And he has to say all the right things to keep her at bay. You know what I mean? But I think he does miss the life. And I think that he does miss his brother and his father and his relatives, his cousins. And I think he misses the UK too. And she has come in and she has basically destroyed all that. And that is very, very sad. All right, so one final thing. This is Taylor Swift. And this is more, don't worry, Queen, it's more about her father than it is about her. All right, let me bring this up. One more segment, Taylor Swift, let's go.
Now, Taylor Swift has been dragged into this Blake Lively lawsuit, and she got word last week that she is going to be subpoenaed by Justin Baldoni, who Blake Lively, her former best friend, and Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds, are trying to take down.
Yep.
Okay, they're trying to take this guy down. And guess what his legal team does? They're like, well, fuck you. We're subpoenaing Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift's lawyers issued like a very lengthy statement, and I will spare you the legalese. I'll just get to the Taylor part of it, which is the 13-year-old mean girl part of it, which is like, I'm so betrayed. I'm so betrayed by Blake Lively. I'm like devastated. I can't believe she would do this to me. I had nothing to do with this. I'm completely floored. Her words, I've been exploited. Oh my God. Okay. So then Taylor and her rumored fiance, Travis Kelce, were spotted and photographed out at a Mother's Day lunch for Travis's mom. And when I tell you, like, people like Taylor Swift get photographed when they want to be photographed.
That's absolutely true.
And when people like Taylor Swift want to go out and have a meal in complete privacy, they have people, and it's not even just like an assistant, it's like a chief of fucking staff,
right,
who calls like the restaurant and says, so-and-so's coming in, we need a private room, and like if she wants to be shot, she's going to be shot by paparazzi, otherwise we need a back entrance, et cetera,
right,
et cetera.
That's true.
So when she's shot out like with regular people at like a regular mid-priced American suburban restaurant, That is a message that she is sending, which is like, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything.
I'm just a
Now,
regular
I just
girl.
want to get to one other thing vis-a-vis Taylor, because, you know, Taylor Swift, you don't get to be this famous this long, mount the most successful, profitable, global musical tour in history, without gunning for it big time. Okay.
Right.
So I have dug out for you guys this email that her father, Scott, wrote. Okay. It's 20 years old. So she's 35 now. So she was around 15 years old when Scott Swift wrote this lengthy email. And
okay, before we get there, about this Blake Lively thing, do you think that Taylor Swift needs to be dragged into this bullshit? She was dragged into this bullshit because of Blake Lively's big mouth, because she gave the impression that Taylor Swift was involved in some sort of a conspiracy, or like she was part of the posse, you know. The Justin Baldoni lawsuit is the biggest mistake that Blake Lively has ever made in her entire life. It is the biggest mistake that Ryan Reynolds has ever made in his entire career. And the fact that Taylor Swift has been dragged into it, you think she's going to forgive Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for this? Not ever. Not ever. Taylor Swift was having a perfectly good life, engaging in whatever shenanigans behind the scenes or doing whatever with Blake Lively. Do you think that she wanted it all exposed? Absolutely not. Well, there you go. There you go. And this lawsuit has the potential to destroy what is that? God, I'm such an idiot. What is the name of the Ryan Reynolds franchise? What is the name of that character that he plays? I can see the costume in front of me. Deadpool. It could really fuck the Deadpool franchise. You know? I mean, thank God they got Deadpool and Wolverine out of the way, because that was great, right? What is Ryan Reynolds doing? What is he fucking doing? Getting involved in this bullshit lawsuit because of his idiot wife. And now Taylor Swift is being dragged in, and it's like this crazy sort of centrifugal force dragging all these celebrities in and all these other people in over what? So that they could go after a director who wasn't that well known, who was an actor who wasn't even that well known, didn't have that much name recognition, to seize control of the sequel of It Ends With Us. Are you fucking kidding? Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Let's continue.
You can go look it up. It's part of a legitimate lawsuit that was brought against them by Taylor's former manager, a guy named Daniel, I don't think I'm pronouncing Dimtro, D-Y-M. Anyway, this email is like for days. I'm dying. Okay, so he starts out, Dan, bear with me. I need to vent. Okay. Now he starts by saying, we are getting to a very important time in Taylor's career. And to keep in mind, quote, I am not quite the idiot that Andrea portrays me to be. Andrea is Taylor's mom, Scott's now ex-wife. Now he says, my clients do not want to hear how much stress I am under or what I have done or how much time I have spent copying videotapes and sending them out when Taylor was 11.
11, huh?
These people were hustling.
Totally.
He says, Taylor will define your life's work. Okay?
T-Girl, her name is Meghan Callahan. One of my longtime subscribers recommended her to me, but specifically what this lady wrote about the Kennedys, which I still haven't seen. She did or continues to write for the New York Post. So she's in New York. She's been a journalist for a million years. And she does this podcast called The Nerve, which is linked in the description box, and she talks about celebrity gossip and self-help guru frauds and all of that. So I think she's amazing. And again, I still don't know what the hell she said about the Kennedys, although she did point out, she did have some very unkind things to say about Jack Schlossberg, who is Carolyn Kennedy's son, and how Jack Schlossberg has basically made a career for himself out of being a troll on Instagram. I don't know how you make a living doing that. I guess that he's leaning back on the Kennedy money. But the thing about Jack Schlossberg is, if you look at a picture of that kid, he is a dead ringer for JFK Jr., Carolyn's brother. I saw a picture of that kid. He's not a kid. He's in his 30s, but a kid. Whatever. Okay. I saw a picture of Jack Schlossberg, and I had to do a double take because, again, I went to college with John Kennedy Jr., and so I saw the picture, and I thought, oh, my God, is that an old picture of John that I've never seen? He is the spitting image of his uncle. Spitting image. And if there's one thing I can say about the Kennedys, one thing is the Kennedy genes are very, very unkind to the women, okay? They end up with those big chins and those big noses and those huge teeth and everything. But they tend to be kinder to the men. The men tend to be able to work with those extreme features and look very, very handsome. Jack Schlossberg, is a good example. Because when I tell you he is identical to his uncle, I am not joking. And it is a shame that Jack Schlossberg is such a dipshit, because what a waste. What a waste of those amazing Kennedy genes. Seriously. So, Connor Kennedy, very handsome. Which Kennedy is that? There's so many of them. I don't know who anybody is. Okay. Oh, yeah, he is very handsome. Oh, he's RFK Jr.'s son. Yes, he's very handsome. Let me show you Jack Schlossberg. Okay. Okay. All right, I am going to put this in chat because I can't make this picture larger. I'm telling you, spitting image of JFK Jr. Spitting image. And yes, Connor's a very, very handsome young man. Did I say grandfather? Jack Schlossberg is the spitting image of his uncle. Yeah, I'm telling you, those Kennedy genes, though. There have been a few duds among the men, but very few. Very few. The men tend to be very, very good looking. The women, not so much, and as they age, they look like witches. So, FYI. All right, let's continue.
He goes on to say, now he's a financial advisor and he's bragging a lot about the money he makes for people and why like he needs to be taken seriously because he makes a lot of money for a lot of people. Who has made every single client listen to Taylor's latest song before we went over their financial plans? Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding?
If my financial planner says, hey, you got to listen to my kid's demo tape before we can like address your very real concern, like I'm like parachuting out of there.
I'd be over it.
Okay, now we're getting into the martyrdom part of this.
Oh.
Okay, now keep in mind that remember when it was rumored that the Olsen twins there was like a third Olsen who like the Olsen parents kept in the basement?
I don't remember that.
They were like malformed or something. And, you know, it wasn't true. But Taylor has a brother named Austin, and we never hear about Austin and we never see Austin. And I kind of think this may be Austin's choice, or he just got the message from his parents and Taylor that like he's a total afterthought. And if Taylor needs an organ someday, they'll call you back into this picture, but otherwise you can stay away. Okay, this is Scott. Who gets to go to New York, New England, and every cool appearance? Not Dad. Can't fix hair. Dad talks too much. Who pays for trips to New York? Dad. Who makes sure and takes days off to make sure that whether it was Radio Disney, Brit's Camp, I'm guessing that's Britney Spears, or any event that we had stuff to give away, CDs, Frisbees, headshots, who even thought to put that stuff together? Who blew up 500 beach balls on the roof for Radio Disney? This sounds like hell. Dad, quote, it's Britney. We are going to Britney's camp, but you and Austin can't come.
Wow.
That sounds like he's putting those words in the mouth of his ex-wife, Andrea. We are going to Britney's camp, but you and Austin can't come. Okay, this email is unbelievable. Who gets to babysit Austin? I guess that's Scott. Scott's got to sit with the ringer of these two kids, not the star. Who, at the last minute, has to find some place to print CDs? You got it, Dad. Who funds the whole process but does not get to come to the dance? Dad, oh my effing God. He says further, as a financial planner, is it fair to Austin that Taylor is taking her half of the estate now? Probably not, but no problem, because everybody in the Swift family is involved in making Taylor Swift fucking happen, okay? So just remember that as this case goes forth and Taylor Swift puts on her best awards face, getting her 8 millionth Grammy, going, who, me? Who, me? I got a subpoena, who, me? Okay, remember, she's a mean girl, Blake's a mean girl.
Yep.
Just my opinion. And if I may quote another legendary New York City housewife, and just a warning to Scott or any member of the Swift family in the future, in the words of New York legend Dorinda Medley, say it, forget it, write it, regret it.
There you go.
That is advice that I would take any day of the week.
Okay, well, all that I can say is that gave me the chills. Listen, for every person, every kid that makes it in the industry, there are thousands who are trying to climb that greasy pole. And for every kid that is trying to make it, each kid has a set of parents. Maybe they just have one parent that is in the picture. Maybe they have two. That is a lot of extremely ambitious adults who are pushing their kids. And some of them are willing to make their kids famous by any means necessary. It means turning them over to unscrupulous record producers, turning them over to pervy agents and managers, leaving them at the mercy of these adults. I mean, if you don't believe me, take a look at what happened at Nickelodeon with Dan Schneider. You can take a look at so many child stars and see how they turned up. Most of them did not do well as adults. Most of them burned out. They didn't manage to make the transition from childhood to adulthood. Had a lot of problems coping once they weren't little and cute anymore. And so it's a constant challenge, for child stars to maintain careers into adulthood. So you've got Jodie Foster, you've got Ron Howard, you've got a few others who have done it. But the majority don't. Ariana Grande has. Some people have. Some of these actors have. But the majority don't. They get on a sitcom, they get a commercial, they may get into a movie, they may have one or two hit records, and then they're gone. And they have a lot of difficulty coping with adulthood because when you peak as a child and your appeal is basically limited to how cute you are, and then you grow into this ungainly, inconvenient adult, casting directors have a very hard time. Look at Jackie Earle Haley. He was in Breaking Away. He was in what was that baseball movie he was in? Jackie Earle Haley, okay? Jackie Earle Haley was a very, very strange looking guy, okay? He was like 5'2". The Bad News Bears was the movie he was in. I knew it was a baseball movie. I knew Tatum O'Neal was involved. But anyway, so he was a strange looking guy, right? If you look at Jackie Earle Haley in Breaking Away, he had bad skin. He had weird teeth. He was kind of a mess. He was weird looking. Okay, but he was incredibly charming, and girls in the 70s were crazy for him. And then he went through a dry spell, and he went off and he did something else. He did other stuff behind the scenes for years until he had a comeback. Unfortunately, one of the things that he did during his comeback was he was cast as Freddy Krueger in a completely unnecessary remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which nobody asked for. Okay, just ignore that. But he's a wonderful actor. He's a wonderful actor, and his comeback story was amazing. It was amazing. But it took years. It took years for him to be able to come back and get into a really good movie, and then that launched his movie career as an adult. Took a long time. Absolutely look at what happened with Justin Bieber. Absolutely look at what happened with Aaron Carter. It is tragic. It's tragic. And I am vehemently opposed to putting kids in the entertainment business. Vehemently. And I know that there's a demand, and I know that we love seeing cute kids in movies. And where would we be without the Spielberg kids and the kids in the Nora Ephron movies and all of that, right? And I love seeing talented kids performing. But at the same time, I feel I have problems with it because I know how damaging being a young performer can be to the psyche of a kid. It's very, very damaging. And facing that much rejection at such a young age is a lot. And then that doesn't even count all of the perverts who work in that business, and what kind of a person, what kind of, let's say the truth, what kind of a man do you think is attracted or is drawn to handle very young talent? A Dan Schneider. A Dan Schneider is somebody who's very interested in young talent. And we saw what happened. You know, if Ariana Grande ever told the real story, or any of these other starlets, Amanda Bynes, if she ever gets her mind together, it would be very interesting to hear what she has to say. And a lot of these perverts who go into the entertainment business in order to specialize in child entertainers, they've gotten off scot-free. It's very upsetting. So, anyway, it's, hi, Ramona. Good to see you. Good to see you. Lots of gossip today. Yeah, Ariana does seem to be incredibly strong. She's been through so much. Yeah, but you know something? I was watching her body language during the press tour for Wicked. And after what happened at the Manchester Arena, I don't blame her for being a nervous wreck. I would be too. I would be too. And I would very much like to know why it is that she and Cynthia Erivo lost so much weight during the promotional tour for Wicked. What happened to those two? Somebody said Ozempic. I can't imagine, although it's possible. But they seem to have been like on the edge the entire time. Very nervous, very high strung. Ariana Grande kept clutching onto Cynthia Erivo. And it's really sad. It's really sad. I hope she's okay. She's a major talent, you know. But I'm telling you, Justin Bieber, Usher, Ricky Martin, Amanda Bynes, Ariana Grande, if any of those people, and then there's a long list, if any of them ever actually came out and told the truth about what happened to them as children in the business, I have a feeling that it would be very grim. Very grim. At least Taylor Swift had her parents around her father there to protect her. But still, I just don't like pushy stage parents. I don't like them. I don't like the parents who try to push their kids to be the breadwinner of the family. It bothers me. There's something off about it, you know. All right, you guys, I want to thank you all for being here. I am going to push off, and I will see you guys the next time, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jen, for the memberships, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks, guys.
Oh,